Titans Beast World Tour Star City issue 1. I elected not to read this for my own sanity, but
Yeah.
Matt, for some reason, thought he wants to complete the set and do the final. What's it? I
This
think it's.
has gotten.
I think it's the
I think
final.
I think this has gotten me into so much trouble. Not like actual trouble, like but just overcommitting to these things. I never feel more like Connor than when I just say I'll read it because I read the rest. I gotta find a way to break that completionist thing, and it's so hard. And I wish a good conversation would come from these tie-ins. And so far, outside of the Flash, I felt like the Flash one kind of stood on its own because it did some fun things with the premise. This one tries, and it's these are the Star City characters. So we got a lot of arrows and I'm trying to think who else. The Justice Society shows up in this one because of Emmy. So Emmy is still a friend of Stargirl. So that's how they get her into this. But yeah, I'm trying to look at these creative teams as we have it going. And the Comic Geeks used to, they still do. All right, so the first story is called Like Father, and it's the first half of this. Not the first half, but there's 4 stories, and this one pays off in the back end with the backstory. And this is by Josh Williamson and Jamal Campbell. So the art's great because it's Jamal Campbell drawing action sequences with Green Arrow and Connor Hawk. But it's those two going to the aquarium in Star City as this is going on, because they're fighting some of these creatures, and they find out that the ones in Star City are a little bit different than some of the other ones, and that trail leads them to the aquarium where the Resurrection Twins are doing stuff. And if you remember the Task Force Z, the 2 women that were in charge of that, those are the Resurrection Twins. And there's some stuff, because this is written by Williamson, that it made me take notice, is that the Resurrection Twins noticed that Grafton Farm are claiming Metropolis and Man-Bat's claiming Gotham. So let's give me a little peek of, there seems to be some mad sciencey like subplot going on in all of Williamson's books, right? Because you got, of course, in Superman, we've talked about that. But I didn't realize that Man-Bat was such a big part of his Batman and Robin. I mean, I'm assuming that's where it's going, because I don't see any other book that he's writing where that would pop up. But they're working on their how they can make these Star City creatures better, and so a bunch of them get the drop on Ollie and Connor, and then as they're taking them out, 2 of them go into the Resurrection Twins, 2 of the Garo guys, and turns them into like sea otters. And as Ollie uses a taser arrow to take them out, a bunch of these other creatures attack him, and that's where that one ends. The second story is called Birds of a Feather, and it's by Ryan, I think it's Perio? Parrott with 2 T's. And Roger Cruz on the art. This is probably I would have to say, the strongest art. It's the thing that stuck with me the most in this one. But this is just Red Canary, who, remember her from other things. I think she was in Dark Crisis. I don't remember where she showed up, but
It sounds familiar. I remember Red Canary existing.
So it's Red Canary finally getting to team with Black Canary, who's her idol, and it's a lot of self-doubt for her, and her going through the motions of trying to be a hero, but also not trying to make it worse. And Dinah has some words of encouragement for her, until what looks like, I'm guessing it's Cheshire, because they draw Cheshire's beast form. It's her. It has to be her because it's her costume. But she looks like the Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. So that was a fun little artistic take. But they drop down on an ambulance that's full of people. So Dinah and Red Canary end up going and fighting them, where one of the spores finds its way into Dinah, and she becomes. If you had to guess what kind of animal she becomes, Pete, what would you guess? If you had a black bird, not quite a canary, but not quite a raven, you'd be correct. Would you also take a guess that she's still wearing the fishnets in the beast form?
Well,
Because she is. And
I
it's
was
quite
trying to
funny.
think of something funny that was totally
Yeah.
so far removed from being a
Yeah.
canary that
Yeah.
I don't know, like I don't know. I feel like we've already had so many people transform into animals.
Yeah.
All the good ones have been
Yeah.
taken.
Yeah. You know, but she ends up. I like to think that these Garo stars are they're kind of like a personality test. So what they turn into kind of reveals something about them. So Nightwing turning into a fox, that I don't know what that says about him, but you know, I'm sure there's something. I'm sure psychologists could put something together. But yeah, so not only is she in a bird form, but she still has the canary cry. So of course she starts going nuts, and Red Canary has to try to get her under control, which she eventually does by, you know, making a stand against her, which makes the big canary creature go off on her own because, you know, she's not a threat or anything. And Red Canary, you know, takes a deep breath and is like, okay, well, we have to fix this. The art here by Roger Cruz is fantastic, which I'm trying to remember how we know Roger Cruz. Was it Flash or was it Batgirls? It was Robin.
It was Robin, yeah. I was going to say his name definitely was
Yeah.
popping up consistently for a while.
And he's going to be doing Outsiders. He's doing Outsiders 4, 5, and 6 coming up.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, that's cool.
That's fine.
But yeah, so the art here, it's really good. The beasts look pretty good. I mean, her half canary with fishnets on, you know, it kind of looks goofy, but I feel like that's the point. The third story is called The Jungle Society of America, and it's by Robert Venditti and Gavin Guidry, and it's Emmy and Stargirl and Huntress from the Justice Society book, taking on Judy, who's gotten a spore and has turned into an alligator, and Alan Scott, who's become a frog. In yeah, so the frog on Alan is kind of funny. The ring's on the tongue, right? Which ends up having payoff later. So
Wait, hold on. When you say it's on the tongue, is it like around the tongue, or is it like a tongue piercing where he's got like a...
it's around the tongue, like it's fitting on his
Okay.
finger, but he has it out in thing. It's not on his hand anymore. And so the you know, these members of the JSA show up. Both Huntress and Emmy take out 2 of the spores, so they don't get Stargirl. But then the Judy Gator attacks, and the Cosmic Rod starts going nuts. So they're like, you know, still remember, these are still our friends, but it's also 2 of the most powerful members of the JSA. At a certain point, I'm trying to remember who it was. Oh, it's Huntress that says, if you can get Judy on her back, rub her belly, right? Which is a fun thing about alligators and crocodilians. And if you get them on their back and rub the belly, it puts them into a trance state. And so Emmy's able to do that. She wrestles her down to the ground, and Emmy asks Huntress how she's able to, you know, why would you know that? To which Huntress responds, well, I have some interesting parents, right? And inferring Batman and Catwoman, which leaves Alan now, who whips his tongue like a whip around Stargirl and starts to pull her into his gullet. They fire arrows at him, but the green energies around him it knocks the arrows off. And while Stargirl's in his gullet, she ends up firing the cosmic radiation from the Star Rod, or from the cosmic staff, and it essentially makes him throw her up, and she has the ring in her hand. So he now just becomes a frog person. He's no longer a Green Lantern frog. And Huntress asks Stargirl how she knows this, and she goes, you know, it's from school. And then they laugh and say that they're sending him to the Star City Zoo. So that's Venditti having a lot of fun with the JSA. I like we got Emmy in here, and it felt natural. It didn't feel like she was wedged in with the JSA because she has been palling around with Stargirl. And it was nice to see those characters pop up here. And I'm wondering if they're bringing Stargirl to Star City also, because it works. Like, she's, as far as I remember, it's Nebraska with her, right? That's her hometown. She doesn't really have anything to do with Star City or even Opal City.
Yeah, nah, because that was
Yeah,
at least when Johns did the whole like
yeah,
mini series and stuff, it was all about her
right,
moving to that small town in Nebraska.
right, right. So I think it was inspired to get Stargirl into the Star City thing. And now it ends with the final, which circles back around to it's called Like Sun, playing off the title of the first by Ted Brandt and Rose Stein, or it just has a Brandt and Stein a story and art. And this is the back half of that story where now it's mainly focused on Connor, whereas the first one was focused on Ollie. He takes out these creatures and realizes that he kind of abandoned his dad, which he starts reminiscing about how his dad abandoned him, which I get. It's a big feeling for Connor Hawk, but I feel like every time he gets brought up, this is the solo story piece that we get with him. Um, and he's looking for how to deal with this, and he remembers that Robin had made him some sonic adaptation earbuds, or earplugs, and I guess this was in the DC Pride special. So it's nice that one of those stories is coming back around, you know. And he ends up putting these beacons on the arrows, and he fires them, and it draws the Beast People away. Where he's finally able to get to his dad. And Ollie's able to free himself with his own arrows, and comments that he's proud of his son, that he came back for him when he told him to leave him. So and that he even made his own trick arrows to do it. And it ends with them having a hug and Ollie actually apologizing, and he's like, I know I don't have to, but I feel like this is what you need to hear. And they end up going to an empty tank that's in the aquarium and rounding up all of the creatures with with this specialized stuff that's in the tank. Or it's water, but they end up having this arrow that has a polymer in it. And when they hit the polymer hits the water, it turns it into like this gel that's able to hold them in place. So they end up putting them in this tank, in this gel, and decide that when this is all over, they're going to go have a meaningful talk. So it's a nice closure moment for Connor. So it gets a story point out, but as a whole for the tie-ins, and right, these are kind of like, especially the Red Canary story, it's not much going on here, at least with the Ollie and Connor story. It seems like there's some stuff moving forward with the characters. But yeah, it's just another one of these tie-ins. It's kind of hard to say that it's good because it's fine, but yeah, that art in the Red Canary story by Cruz is a real high point. So I'll give this a 5.5.